occasionally in the sim, I have to, I don't know, postpone things to keep current events in check, if you will. And this aircraft was one of those things that I had to postpone. Let's go walk in the water here real quick. But I feel like the media cycle has moved on enough and doesn't care enough about what's going on to where I can review this airplane without making too many people angry for being too insensitive. DCS is a different story. I will mock current events, not mock them, that's not the right word, but I will model current events, yes, model current events to my heart's content. Not in flight sim. Anyway, today's aircraft on review is the, and you'll understand why current events in a second, the Canada Air CL-415. Do I need to explain more? Do I need to explain more? You watch news. I don't care where in the world you are, because for whatever reason, the American news cycle just rules the world. This aircraft featured very heavily in the Los Angeles area fires. I know there's other ones as well. So forgive me, I'm ignorant to situations. California is seemingly always on fire, so I a lot more going on in my neck of the woods. I can't. Anyway, this aircraft is like many of the other aircrafts done by a third-party dev, and then Asobo and Microsoft went, hey, we'll give you money if we can put that in our sim. And they went, okay, we like money. Everybody likes money. And that's what this aircraft is, and for that reason, this aircraft actually is relatively good compared to the normal slop that Asobo feeds us. We love them, though. Anyway, we're going to give this aircraft the normal quick sample overview, starting first and foremost with textures, interior and exterior, taking a walk through both the cockpit as well as the rear cabin, looking at some of the details in there. Obviously, then we're going to get the aircraft up and fly it, and then, yeah, that's it. That's it. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin. So Flight Sim actually came with a really cool DLC. If you bought, like, the super expensive deluxe version, you can actually walk on water. It's only if you bought the deluxe, though, so don't try it if you... I'm obviously joking. Textures on the aircraft are great. I don't think I've said that about... I don't think I've ever said that about a default Asobo aircraft. Again, I do want to keep everyone's expectations in check here. That this was made by someone else. In fact, this aircraft existed previous to Flight Simulator 2024. It was a DLC aircraft that if you pre-ordered the sim, you could get an FS2020. So just keeping that in mind when we walk around. But I mean, this is fantastic. I struggle, like usually when you get up this close, textures fall apart. Now, I'm not talking about the livery. The livery could use a little bit of touch up and that sort of stuff. But I mean, you look at those screw heads, you look at those rivets, look at the joining planes. Fantastic. The font, fantastic. Razor sharp. All of the oddball tow line connections or whatever this is for on the aircraft, fantastic. 10 out of 10. Genuinely, I'm not being sarcastic. This is the first time ever. One little small detail that I'm not huge on is the props. So I think the prop's supposed to be feathered right now, so the aircraft should be shut down. But obviously this is not correctly lining up with the propeller. The rest of it looks fine. Engine, nacelle covers look good. The outboard pitot tube covers look good. Real nice landing and taxi light combo there. Don't worry, we'll go back towards the main fuselage in just a second. Outboard, the wingtips look great. Oh man, oh, look at that for a scenic shot, eh? I had to say because it's a Canadian aircraft, don't you know? Okay, that's more Uber / Minnesotan. This looks great. I just wish that I wasn't splish splash taking a bath. See an inspection window there. We'll take a look at that as well. Need to remove the chocks. There we go. We'll come back to these guys later on. These are the water scoop doors. So when you've got the aircraft fired up and all that, these lower into the water stream to pick up your water, to then drop your water. Something you'll notice, and this is true to life on the real aircraft, if you look at these, I don't know what you want to call them, secondary vertical stabilizers I think they're too big to be called vortex generators. They're offset. So if I come head on with the vertical stab here, you can see that they're pointed just a little bit outward. And I think that's to combat the P factor or torque, because it's probably measured in torque on a turboprop. I don't know. This is obviously a Canadian aircraft, so you've got dual languages. And those markations are throughout the entire aircraft, so anywhere you see English, odds are you will see French as well. Yeah, everything on this aircraft looks an absolute treat. I'm sure if I looked hard enough and for long enough, there's something I could find somewhere that looks bad, but I mean, right now I'm not. You know, I could go, oh, this doesn't look perfect on my 4K monitor and I can't read this text. Okay, dude. It's good enough. Anyway, let's hop inside. One of the gripes I do actually have are the amount of animated doors on this aircraft and the fact that none of them can stay open. I say it a lot. There's two, but you have the main entrance here and the rear entrance, and it'd be cool to me if you could just leave this one open. But it takes us inside. And this one does the same thing. Where's my mouse? Hi. Takes us inside as well. So it would be kind of cool if we could do that. We will come back to the cockpit momentarily. Actually, let's get a little bit of power on board here. We'll go ground power, batteries, inverters. Get overhead flood on. It's the annunciator panel. That's all we need for now. Turn on the cabin, he said, after turning on a whole bunch of other lights. Okay, cabin lights, fasten seatbelt, no smoking, exit, and then let's turn on the nav lights as well, just so people know that we've got power, nav, and anchor. Okay. So walking through the aircraft here, obviously this is the main door here that we came through just a moment ago. Obviously you've got your dual languages again. Love to see that. This circuit breaker panel. Oh, hello. Goodbye, frame rate. This circuit breaker panel was a lot more comprehensive and functional in the previous sim. Like I mentioned before, if you pre-ordered FS2024, and I don't remember what version, it might have just been any version of the sim, you got the aircraft. This aircraft in 2020, and it was much more complete. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still at 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 7. 8. Oh, can we break 10? Not a fucking chance. Anyway, so 10 circuit breakers out of the, I don't even know how many on here function. And when I say function, they click in and out. I haven't tested functionality on the actual aircraft, but good news, this door shuts. Neat. Clicking this curtain does not close it as you might think. Do you want to guess what it does? It takes you back outside. So, those little details aside, now I'll let that go because I think that was an Asobo doing, because I'm willing to bet that on the previous gen aircraft that if those doors did open, they would have just stayed open, that they were. Nonetheless, let's take a little quick whistle stop tour here around the cabin. I use the word cabin lightly. This concludes our tour of the cabin. You've got these nice big bladders here. Again, a lot of nice smaller details here. Not nearly as high resolution as what was on the outside, but I don't really think it needs to be. Past the big bladders here. Even modeled, so it doesn't show you, like if there's water in here, it won't show you that, but the fact that it's, you modeled, you can see into the freaking tanks, that's cool, and it's like that on both sides. Oh, that can't be right. Can you see? Oh, that's the spill door. Bet you that's the spill door. Stand by. It is. So this door, once the tank gets too full, it just spills out from here and drains back down the side of the aircraft. That makes sense. The reason I set sight windows is because you do have them down here by the main landing gear. Look at that. So you can see your gear is extended or retracted. I'm assuming there's some other function that it serves as well on the real aircraft, but that's what we would use it for in the sim, nonetheless. No additional seating back here. This is that other door that took us outside, if we, or inside rather, if we clicked on it. Then you've got an emergency exit here. Fire extinguisher, crew ladder. I'm assuming that's for grabbing mooring lines. I'm not entirely certain. And then that's it. Somewhere in here, I think it's supposed to be an ELT and a CVR, but I didn't see it mounted up anywhere. Again, your fasten seatbelt signs and no smoking signs are actuated via switches in the cockpit. Speaking of the cockpit, let's go check that out. Ready, zoomies, 3, 2, 1. All right, cool. In the cockpit now, let's get some lights on here. Okay? Granted, it's bright out, but you never go wrong with too much light. Until you go wrong with too much light. Riveting content watching me twiddle these knobs, I'm aware. You can let me know in the comments anyway. It's fine. Tell everyone how much you enjoyed watching me twiddle these knobs. The cockpit. Where's my enunciator test? I know you have one. There you are. So with the cockpit all lit up, one area of improvement that this aircraft does need, and I actually am going to be able to showcase that with the enunciator test off. So if we look at our buttons on the main panel here, I want you to pay attention specifically to the engine fire buttons and how well that they are modeled, as far as clarity of the text and all that sort of stuff. What's that? What happened there? How did we go from this to this? Is it nitpicking? Yeah. The aircraft's good enough to where I kind of have to nitpick. It's not just that. So the heater fire buttons as well do the same thing. Not a big fan. And then again, the master cautions. Outside of that, I'm not super big on the low resolution of the display here. When you get up close, it actually looks and makes sense. Like it looks like an old, not cathode ray tube. What am I thinking of? Not LCD. What's like the early dot, the late dot matrix displays, I think, is what I'm thinking of. But when you zoom out, you don't see all of the detail in here, and it just looks blurry. Even when you come back a little ways, I don't know. Other than that, I mean, these are nice and crisp. When you zoom way in, obviously you can see some texture degradation on like the weathering and that sort of stuff. You get really up close, the numbers look a little bit grainy. Placards here aren't quite as crisp as I would like, especially if the cockpit's where we're going to be spending most of our time, right? So I would like a little... Hello, I'm sorry, I'm in your lap. I definitely would like a little bit more clarity on some of those placards. Some of this text here definitely could use an improvement, especially when you compare it to stuff like, look at the resolution on this screw here compared to the chevrons in the beta range, or even the throttles themselves, right? Again, I am aware that this is a port over from FS2020 for the most part, but you know what? Asobo and Microsoft decided to put it into their sim, so I'm gonna judge it, and that's what we're doing. I'm also a little bit bummed, and am I being nitpicky? 100%. I have to be. The little side windows don't open. Boo-hoo, right? That'd be kind of neat to have. But let's stop crying and let's walk through a startup of the Canada Air CL-415. I guess real quick before we do that. not super huge. I'm not super fan of the soundscape on here. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it definitely could be better. All right, let's go through the startup. So I just threw on our fuel pressure warning lights as well as the anti-collisions. Those are spinning around outside now. I didn't show you guys the anti-collision lights on this. We're pause. These are the coolest anti-collision lights on any aircraft, and you can fight me on that, dude. Admiral Vulcan, eat your heart out. This is cooler. Don't at me. Big ol' rotating beacon on both sides. It's on the other side. If you don't trust me, check it out for yourself, or I don't know, watch some other thing. But anyway, a little mini rant there aside. Fuel pumps can come on. We're going to set ignition circuits A and B to normal. We're going to select the left engine first. All right, oil pressure is on the rise. That's it right now. There's NP rotation. Oil pressure coming up in the green now. Let's introduce fuel. Watch an ITT. And that click you heard is the engine starter shutting off for engine number 1. And we're rolling away. That's lovely. So let's go ahead and get that other engine started. I guess the landing gear are not our friends here. And just some quick ground handling tips. Obviously, this is a seaplane. As far as I know, there's no water rudder on the CL-415. So what you're going to want to do as far as handling goes for the aircraft is you can utilize differential thrust. If you've got a good head of speed, like we've got a little bit of speed underneath us right now, I can use some rudder to keep us moving. But if you're doing slow speed maneuvers, you're going to want to use differential thrust and beta if necessary. Beta's a very helpful tool. It'll get you slowed down fast when you're on the water. Almost as slow as my frame rate there. You can see we've basically come to a crawl. We'll stop and then you can go into reverse. And then you can use differential thrust. You can see we're pivoting right now. To the left. You can use differential thrust. Pivot more to the right. Change our engine configuration. Bring it to the left. We'll go neutral rudder. Just to prove that I'm not cheating here. Of course, wind and all that stuff's going to factor in a little bit as well. There you go. Generally straight aft, directional. I think that's enough about that. Let's go fly. Camera lights on. Oh, not a beta. Love the big slow actuations of the control surfaces. They're hydraulically actuated on the CL-415. Despite its size, it's definitely maneuverable on the water. I'll give it that all day long. All right, let's go take off. That's definitely easier done on the interior, but for video's sake we'll try and do it from the outside today. So I'm gonna get her up on plane if I can here. She's pretty much there already because we're so light. Yeah, took off almost instantaneously. I am gonna roll back my engine speed as well as my torque output because this airplane absolutely loves to eat its own engines. So keep cruising here, getting a little bit of altitude, and then do a water scoop and then a water drop. All right, and round it out at a reasonable cruise altitude. Just real quick, I want to show you guys what I was talking about with those vertical bird. Okay, there we go. Those vertical stabilizers, those secondaries, you can see just how offset and how canted they are from The aircraft's vertical stabilizer definitely offset. You can tell from the rear. You can probably tell from the front as well. Yeah, definitely from the front. So if I line up with the vertical stabs there, you can see how much the tailplane you can see. If I line up with the tailplane, you can see how much the vertical stabs I can see. So let's do a water scoop and a water drop here. We're going to cross over downtown Seattle, and I think we'll land in the harbor there. Do our scoop, and then find somewhere to drop. This will also give me the opportunity to showcase the aircraft's fantastic dive capabilities. Am I being facetious? We'll find out. As we come into flare for our final landing, that AOA meter in the center screen there is going to be really, really important to pay attention to. Right, we've crossed it's downtown Seattle here. Go ahead and nose her in. (3,000 feet per minute on the VSI. One little fishing boat scampering for its life. That's a good rate of descent there. Come back to idle. Here's the alarm for AOA. A little bit rough of a touch, but nothing too bad. Alright, the water fill now. We're going to let the aircraft cruise. And we'll throw down. Where did my engine shut off? What? Okay, so if you missed it in the first part, the little probes here, which you can no longer see because we're in the water. But those little water probes, if I dump those into the into the water, they're going to start filling. You can see I have a DN and then probes. Down probes. So I'm filling water. Again, differential throttle is going to be your best friend here. And we'll keep cruising until we're full to our heart's content. I think we'll do a full 4,000 load. We're just about full there. I think there's one more bar to go. There is. Ropes can come up. Reconfigure for takeoff. Let's go. This time with the aircraft being heavier, I am going to take off from the inside. Much longer takeoff roll here. It's to be expected. Alright, we're airborne. I'm going to hold it in ground effect for a little bit here. We gain some airspeed. What a scenic shot. Alright, let's come out left here and find a victim, person who needs rescuing. Let's roll the engines back a little bit. And they do love to eat themselves. Let's see that really narrow band for oil pressure. Now, setting up the water drop system is relatively easy. Let's go armed on our control panel. You can see ready and armed. If you're in the standby status, both of those will go out. Then you have ready and armed. You have your choice of a delivery method, I should say. I like to go automatic. As far as I know, the foam system does nothing as far as foam injection, auto versus manual. So anyway, do we have people who are in need of yes. Yes, they need our service over there. So let's start a big wide left-hander here. Something that often goes I guess thought about, for lack of a better term, is how water behaves at velocity. When you and I think of water, normally you would think of, oh yeah, water, you know, like the thing you can swish your hand around it. It's, you know, it's splishing, it's splashing, it's wet. Water at velocity acts more like rocks. It's like, I don't want to say this with absolute certainty because I don't know for sure, but I would be hard pressed to believe that a airplane would do what we're about to. What is out? And we killed some seagulls in the process. A lot of that water went back into the sea that we got it out of, but that's fine. Alright, now we're nice and light. Got our maneuverability back. We can touch back down. And this time we will refill under power. Don't know if it's approved. I would imagine not, just because of how surface tension works. So we're going to wait until we get the aircraft nestled into the water before we put those probes down. Here comes the alarm. Now. Alright, power can stay on just a little bit this time. Get up on plane and sit around 60-70 knots if I can. It'll help us refill our rest. Right, just like that, we're full. Probes coming back in and power to take off. Of course, you would, if you were doing this in the real world, you would definitely be wanting to know where your winds are coming out of. I'm just doing this by the seat of my pants. Alright, one more water scoop. I think we will call it good. Also, that AOA monitor is a little bit sensitive for my liking, but I understand why it's the way that it is. Alright, in the real world, I'd rather have something that's annoying and sets off prematurely versus something that sets off as I'm feeling the buffeting from a stall. I get it. One more partial fill. Keeping the airplane up on plane. It's good there. Probes up. Taking off. Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Canada Air CL-415. Tons of different aliases in the real world. I call it awesome, even if someone does fly a drone into the right leading edge. Park your drones up, dudes and dudettes. What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, he was the head of, like, it was like some software company or something. Charged him like 60. The reason I know this is because they they charged him like 60 grand. He had to pay like 60K in restitution and do like community service. And in my head, I was like, dude, if I had to pay $60,000 in restitution Like, that'd be it. It'd be game over. Like, I don't have $60,000 liquid. Like, you know, you sell some stuff maybe, but like, anyway. I digress. The Canadair CL-415. Don't fly drones into it. Enjoy it in the sim virtually. It's one of the best looking airplanes out there, and dropping water is fun. I'm Sample Halu. And that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. But until then, as always, take it easy. You know, I wanted to sit down and do a review on this airplane, and this ain't the ramp start. Let's see where the fuck this takes us. Yep. All right. Quality. And I'm free floating away. This sim is unbelievable. Unbelievable.